people will go to me and they're like, Ryan, real estate's ready to crash and it's been, dipping a little bit. And I'm like, guys, do you realize what every other asset class has done to this point? Like they have dipped 90%.
Exactly.
Crypto and many of these crappy coins have dipped 90%. Amazon or Netflix, if you bought like the premier stock, it has dipped. Real estate has gone down 5-10%. Depends what market you're. I'm like, you tell me what you should have bought in the last year. Lucky Lopez, good to have you back, dude.
Thank you so much for having me, man. It's been about 1.5 years.
It has been. Things are very different today than they were a year and a half ago.
Man, I got to say first, congratulations. I love the new studio. I love the fact that, what are you, 250,000 now?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I remember when we first met, I think I was at 10,000 subs and you just got to, I think, 100,000.
Yeah. And I remember, you're local here in Vegas. And when I first started YouTube during the pandemic, you were one of the guys who reached out to me. You're like, hey, dude, I'm trying to start YouTube too. See, you're a business guy. I'm trying to like link up with these other guys, but they're not really into it. And I'm like, yeah, dude, come to my office. Like, let's talk about how we can grow, on social media and stuff. And it's awesome to see, where both of us have gone.
Yeah. it's got it. 1.5 years. So much has changed. I don't know where you want to start, but we got a bunch of fun stuff we could talk about today.
Yeah. So if you guys haven't seen, Lucky and I have done a podcast before. You're a repeat guest about 1.5 years ago. Also, we've done some YouTubes together. We did car flipping where we went to the auction. That was a lot of fun. We're going to film another thing for my YouTube channel. And then you were in my Turo series, which was great. But people follow you on YouTube for car flipping and for the auto industry and for just everything that's going on, all things cars.
Pretty much, yeah, everything automotive.
Yeah. So what's going on? Like, okay, let me preface this. Last time we were talking 1.5 years ago, you were like, hey, there's no inventory, you got to buy. And we were just talking like what I should get. And at the time I was thinking, I'm like, man, I don't want a Lambo, don't want this or that. And I ended up getting the Porsche Taycan, which I still have to this day. And it's had its ups and downs, but overall, I am very happy I bought it.
Well, the market has pretty much done a complete 180. When we first talked, I know the market was hot. Trying to find a deal on your Taycan was extremely hard.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's the complete opposite end. About 1 year ago, we started talking about how, we started seeing a trend in repos forming. We saw people that traditionally could afford auto loans couldn't do this. So as I started talking about on my channel, I started getting a lot of attention from news companies, finance companies, and they were saying that, there's no way that, people are overinflated. You're saying that the car market is just like the 2008 housing market. How could this be? And simply put, back in 2020, there was a shortage for cars. We were looking for our cars. I was trying to buy my R8. You were trying to buy your Taycan. Or was it 21?
21.
21, yeah. And so the market was just nuts. People were overpaying. And so what happened was all the dealers started charging more for every single vehicle because they can do the whole supply and demand.
Yep.
But what really hurt the market was when the banks started going way over what's called LTV, loan to value.
Okay.
So just like your house, you can only borrow for what it's worth. They may go a little bit over if you want to do some remodeling or something like that. But with cars, traditionally we stay around 110, 120 if you're a good qualified buyer. But during this time, during the pandemic, they were like, oh, well, let's just throw the money out. The government's buying all of our bad loans. So we're just going to start lending 150, 160.
What do you mean 160? Like, what does that mean?
So let's say the car's worth $10,000.
Okay.
Most banks would give you maybe $11,000 at 110% or 120%.
Why do they need more?
Because they were trying to justify the inflated prices of how cars were going up.
Oh.
And so now they're like, well, on this $10,000 car during the pandemic, people were getting like 160, 170% LTV. They were financing $16,000, $17,000 on a car that was only worth about $10,000.
Because that was the going rate at the time.
Yeah. So somehow, some way, it made sense in the bank's mind. So they just started pushing it, which there's ups and downs with the market. This happens usually during tax season. But the big problem is 93% of the loans that were originated from 2020, 2021, and 2022, the first 2 quarters, none of them had basically job verification, certain requirements. They made the lending restrictions so loose that anybody can get a loan. So normally, like if you came in and you're like, hey, I worked at Taco Bell, but I just got my degree in finance and I'm going to be a banker. They would say, okay, well, we could see what you're making and we can justify giving you maybe a little bit more money.
Right.
But during this time, we had all these stimulus ballers that were making $4,000 a month. So, I'm making $4,000. My wife's making $4,000. We're making $8,000 a month. We want this brand new Dodge Charger at $1,000 a month. And the banks weren't asking for, 6 months bank statements. They weren't asking for some sort of track record. They just took the down payment, sold the deal, and shoveled it off. And so now during the pandemic, it was fine because these people are making $4,000, a month from stimulus, everything else. But now that the economy's back on, let's say they go back to work at Home Depot and they're making maybe $2,500 a month instead of the four. And then what's happened since 2021, and you'll be a great take from this, is rent is almost doubled, gas has doubled. And so all these people that could afford this $1,000 car payment, a year ago, it's completely changed.
Yeah.
And so now we're watching repo rates pretty much double overnight. And usually with repos, there's no rhyme or reason. It's kind of all over the place. And what we've been seeing lately is the repo rates from loans that originated in 2020 through 2022 is almost double compared to 19, 18, and 17. So that's what made me ring the alarm and start talking about on my YouTube channel. And it was funny. I got so much flack, but now that the repos are coming in and banks are losing money and it's public record, they have to show this. Now everybody and their grandma is like, oh my God, how do we miss this? This is the 2008 all over again. So it's pretty hilarious.
Yeah. I'm curious how it'll affect us, with the economy, right? Because losing your house is a lot different than losing your car, especially some luxury car you shouldn't have bought anyway.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think the big thing that's going to affect our economy, and that's why I talk about it on my channel, is that people are like, oh, it's just cars. It doesn't affect anything. I'm like, you don't understand. A lot of the small banks, let's say credit institutions like credit unions and small town banks, they were giving loans for the same type of crazy LTV to compete with like Wells Fargo, Bank of America, to make sure they keep the auto loans coming in. Well, what happens is when they repo these cars, and let's say they bought a car or they have a loan for 30 grand and they sell it for 20, I buy it at the auction for 20, that $10,000 deficiency balance, the bank has to eat that.
Right.
So if some small, tiny, local bank eats, hundreds of repos, they don't have the money to lend to you, the real estate investor, the bakery down the street that needs a line of credit.
Right.
It affects everybody.
Right. Yeah. I mean, just the fact of giving 160% LTV, just like so dumb.
Yeah. And I mean, I've seen it with well-qualified, like somebody like yourself, like if you wanted to buy a Lambo, no money down, and you wanted to throw the warranty on it, I could probably get a bank that could finance you for that. But when we're talking like subprime people with like 500 and 600 credit scores, with inconsistent job time, they were giving the same treatment as somebody like yourself or somebody with an 800 credit score. And that was one of the problems. And so now, and the worst one is a lot of these people are taking these loans at 15% interest or more.
That's crazy too.
Yeah. When I looked at the subprime market, they're not only paying 160% LTV, but their average credit or their average interest rate on a subprime loan was 15.9%. So,
I think, in 2021, I ended up buying the Taycan and I bought a Escalade. I financed them both. And I want to say they were both like 6%, 7% or something. I can't remember.
Did you do personal or commercial loan?
Dude, honestly, I don't even know.
Oh, really? I just didn't know if you did the whole bonus depreciation.
Oh, well, I did that. Yeah.
Okay.
But it doesn't matter. You can do it either way.
Okay. Yeah. But I mean, you, at least then you took the time, you were due diligent. You checked with me. I know you checked with other dealers. Like, you're the smart consumer. You're the one that people are looking for. And now it's funny because people like you are the ones that are going to get the best deals, because all these consumers are starting to get smart and realize that the market is kind of turning, just like the housing market. And so things are kind of swaying the other way, where before the auto market was hot, just like the housing market, like everybody had to buy a car. Now, if you look at the average days on market, which is, if you can go to Car Gurus, you guys can check this out. It's very simple to look up. During the pandemic, the average days on market was about 7 days.
Okay.
I mean, cars would not last. They would just fly off. Now we're hovering around like 58, almost close to 60.
What's a normal market?
A normal market's probably around like 35, 40.
Yeah.
So as we're getting there, because people are like, well, the prices are still up and I don't see if the market's slowing down, how come the prices are not going down? And the way we're explaining it to people is that if you bought as a dealer, 3 months ago, you were paying, let's say, over retail for a car. They were so afraid to discount it because they couldn't replace it. So they kept the price high.
Right.
Well, every month dealers have carrying costs. None of these dealers have money. Most dealers have lines of credit.
Right.
So every month they're getting these reoccurring costs from marketing, interest, whatever else. So every month, let's say they bought a $80,000 Escalade and they're trying to sell it for 110.
Right.
They bought it for 80. Let's say every month they add another $1,000 in interest, fees, and carrying costs. So 3 months later, they're into like 85, 86. But then I go to the auction today, I can buy one for probably 75,
Yeah.
69.
I remember when I was trying to buy the Escalade, I go, hey, I'm trying to buy this. You know, can you look on, what is it, Manheim or something?
Yeah, Mannheim.
Yep. You know, we're like, dude, they're going for over retail used. And I'm like, why would I buy that?
Yeah,
It's just like, it's
and-
crazy.
But that's why you're in a good position now, is because you said the same thing, just like me. Like I refuse to pay over MSRP for my RA. I wouldn't do it. I had to go I drove to Miami to get my car.
Mm.
But the problem was a lot of people they were like, nope, I got to get it. They believed in that whole FOMO. I'm going to fear of missing out. If I don't buy this car, the dealer says that he's got 10 other people that are going to get it. Well, that stuff's not working now. And as we're watching these dealers hold on to this overinflated inventory, it's causing major ripple effects across our industry. Because I don't know if you know Carvana, if you've seen some of the stuff I talked about, you know, we watched their stock price plummet from, I think it was $300 a share when we did the first video last year. I think they're hovering around like $8.33 now.
That's crazy. That's worse than cryptos.
Yeah. I mean, it blew my mind, but they're one of the biggest culprits, because they were like the Zillow of my industry. They came in, we were going to buy your cars completely automated. We're going to pay all the money. So I used to buy cars on Craigslist and literally just turn around and sell it to them for insane market.
We did the
markup.
same thing to Zillow and Open Door. Yep.
Yeah. And it cracked me up, because even after Zillow was showing cracks of how a virtual system would not work on buying houses, because just like houses and cars are the same, it depends on the market, the area, the ownership. Did the old owner take care of it? Well, after they were showing all those losses and Zillow was stopped buying, Carvana kept buying automated. So when you buy a car, when you put a car up for sale on Carvana, you're like, yeah, I want to sell my car. I literally filmed it. It's on my channel. We literally drove the car up there. I handed the kid the keys and the title. He handed me a check, and we filmed him walking right back into the building. He didn't start the car. He didn't check it out. He didn't walk around it, nothing.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And I'm like, how could you even like give this kid a salary if he's not even gonna look at the car? Like, we could literally, I wanted to tow in a car with a no motor and leave it just to see if they would give me a check. And once they gave me the check, then I would give it back. But I haven't had a chance to do that. But that's where all these horror stories of people buying these really crappy cars from Carvana are coming from, is because they had the worst inspection, the worst recon system. Basically everything in their business is awful. But for some reason, somehow they had all these venture capital firms that were giving them, you know, billions of dollars, and they still are. And I think they tried to put out an offering of, I think it was they needed 5 billion more. Nobody took it at 13% interest except for Apollo, which is like a vulture capital firm. So basically they're going to get 200% if they file bankruptcy, which I know they're going to get bankruptcy on their on the company. But yeah, I think they're going to own probably Carvana in the next 3 to 6 months. That's the big domino. That's what I'm waiting to fall.
What happens if that falls?
If that falls, it's going to make people realize that the market is not as great as what everyone thinks it is. Carvana really upset our market, just like with you, you know, like they were overpaying for houses. Now you got to compete.
Yeah.
So every traditional dealer was upset that these guys were just throwing money at the problem. And so what's going to happen is they have a little over $4 billion of inventory on their current lots. Now the market in the last 60 days has dropped 12%. So what's 12% of 4 billion? I'm sure it's,
you know,
it's an
like
stupid
500
amount.
million.
Yeah. And they'll never be able to get that money back. And every month it's dropping another 5%. So they're upside down in their inventory. They sell, their average profit for a car is $2,000, but their average cost on their interest and their loans and their money is basically costing them a negative. I think it was $1,800 per deal. They've been in business for 10 years, haven't had one profitable quarter. And if they fall, pretty much everybody that's some sort of virtual company, Swift, Vroom, they're all going to go to the wayside.
It's crazy. I mean, but they do have their cool machine towers.
I'm going to be the first in line when they file bankruptcy. I want to buy that one here right on the strip. I totally want to do it, because like every time I see that, I'm wondering, I'm like, okay, if this goes to bankruptcy, can we buy it? The problem I'm worried about is somebody's going to buy it for pennies on the dollar and try to make it work. And that's what scares me.
I want to buy it just to store my car collection.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, I don't even have a collection, but one day it's just going to be like Ryan's collection, and it's just my cars. Everyone just sees them.
Oh yeah. I mean, every time I drive by it, I just laugh, and I'm just like, God, I don't even know how they did this. If you literally look up the definition of a Ponzi scheme, I literally feel like that's Carvana because
No, you're thinking of FTX.
oh yeah, that no comment.
You're thinking of Carvana and FTX.
But very similar returns if you guys invested in either of those, unfortunately.
Yep. So let's talk about just the car flipping market, right? Carvana made it tough to flip the last couple of years because these fools are overpaying and whatever, and now they're going to pay the price. How's car flipping been for you well? I mean, would you consider what you're doing car flipping since you're doing it as a dealer? Like, what would you say?
I mean, I'm technically flipping. We call it wholesaling, just like you
Yeah.
do with houses, and we could take it direct to consumer, but then we got to compete with dealerships like Carvana and everything else. So when I first met you, I actually sold my dealership, and I still wanted to be in the car industry because I believe, we actually talked about this. We have this in common that, you can't talk about real estate unless you own real estate.
Mhm.
I can't talk about being in the automotive industry if I'm not in there. There's too many of these fake
Yeah.
gurus that I'm a real estate mogul or a real estate, millionaire. I'm a mogul. And you're like, show me your real estate portfolio. Oh, I don't own any property.
Yeah.
So I kept it around because one, I enjoy it. And two, just to make sure, I keep acclimated to the business. And so far it's actually been really well. I actually kind of thrived on the stupidity of dealers. A lot of the stuff I preach, like don't overpay for cars, don't hold your inventory for too long. The first deal is the right deal. Just take it, get your money and move. Dealers got away from the basic principles that we've learned, and they were just buying, overpaying, and holding.
Right.
And so like these cars were like some sort of an investment. So it kind of cracked me up. So we've been pretty fortunate. I've been buying cars for literally off of Craigslist. We clean them up, we take them to the auction, and some poor dealer will pay us $500, $1,000, $1,500, $100 over what we paid for it. We just take it there, sell maybe 5, 10 a week, and just we've been kind of doing that for the last year and a half, pretty much since I saw you. We did dabble in a few exotic cars. You saw my Instagram and we talked about, and we were going really, really hard with the exotic cars for a little while because we worked with a bank and we were buying repos directly, and we were getting some amazing offers, like, whatever they owed, pretty much we just had to pay it off. But the reason why I stopped is we purchased a Rolls Royce, an Aston Martin, and a McLaren, and like 2 other cars. And the Rolls Royce, I remember we booked it out. It was worth like $250K. We took it to the auction, and it got literally like $150,000 offer. Couldn't figure out why. We're like, well, this book's for $250. We'll take $200. Kept running it. Wouldn't break $150.
Wow. Why?
It just, back then, just like the guy that purchased this car, he put $150,000 down, but he also had a PPP loan with the same bank. So the people that could afford those cars at that time could qualify for them. So they were putting these massive down payments to overthrow the qualifications for what it would take to get an exotic car. And as we started trying to liquidate all these exotic cars, we realized that 90% of the people that could afford these cars, people like yourself, that you weren't going to buy them because unless you get a good deal on it, or you buy them back a book or at a good deal, you're not going to waste your time. So all we had were the people that
the dumb money was gone.
Yeah, exactly. I call them your channel. I don't know if you're too big on, but like the cryptonaires, the NFT guys, like literally like everybody that was getting repoed was literally them. I remember we had 2, one of the McLaren was from an influencer. I won't say his name, but yeah, he had all of his Instagram stuff on there and the stickers and stuff. So we peeled them off before we put it on the channel. But same thing. I mean, he probably, was a day trader that talked about that stuff and lost his ass. And now his McLaren's gets repoed. And now it's at our shop getting fixed up to be sold. So once we saw that the repos were piling up for the exotic car market and the credit crunch started happening with exotic cars, we just started going away from that. But now I think the market is going to go another way. I feel like we're going to have another 2008. A bad time. I think cheap cars are going to be the way to go.
Wow. That's scary.
It is. I mean, you're familiar with real estate, how they're bundling the home loans back then, oh, well, you can breathe. Oh, here's a ninja loan. We're just going to give you a house. You want 2 houses?
Yeah.
One for you, one for your wife, get 2 for your kids. I remember a Walmart door greeter had 7 houses back then. And she was like a real estate investor and working as a door greeter at Walmart. And, but the reason why I bring this up is because it's very similar to what's going on in our industry. They were bundling these crazy, stupid auto loans. People that traditionally would pay their bills, maybe 600, 700 credit scores, they would rate them as AAA. They'd bundle them up and they'd sell them on the stock market. Regular people could purchase these auto loan bundles, investment firms, hedge funds. And so they're out here selling this really crappy paper that that are supposed to be worth, let's say, $50 million. But that was during the inflated 2021, 2022 numbers, the first 2 quarters. Now that $50 million portfolio value is probably closer to 35, 38 million. So now they're already down. Their only hope is to pray that the customers actually make their payments. But the way repos are going, it's just changing the market completely. And yeah, I think it's going to go really bad here in the next maybe 6 to 8 months.
Sorry. You can cut that. So tell me, what's your plan then as a dealer and as somebody who's flipping, trying to acquire, deals? Like, are you just focusing on cheap cars then because you think that's the way to go?
Yeah, because back in 2008, I remember this is when I went full board and started doing my dealership in like the 10, 11, 12 eras, when people were reestablishing their credits. We were buying the bankruptcy list from banks or from the courthouse.
Yep.
So we found out everybody that was basically filed bankruptcy, we would send them letters and say, hey, rebuild your credit, come buy a car from me.
Yeah.
And all of our cars were under 10 grand. So yeah, I feel like we're going to get back there because affordable cars, anything under like 15K always seems to sell. As long as you have like 2 grand in a pulse, 90% of the time we can get you financed.
Yeah.
So all these people that were stimulus ballers that were living high during this free money era, those are the people that are going to be hit the hardest, because now once they fall and they lose that car, with this credit crunch happening, with banks taking massive losses, it's going to get harder and harder to get qualified. So they're going to have no place to go but a cheap car. So what I'm doing to kind of leverage myself and take advantage of the situation is I'm currently trying to get a dealership in downtown Las Vegas. It's a little over 2 acres, which I showed you a picture of. I'm still waiting. If you want, we can film our video there on the way back there. I can show you that area. But I think that's the way to go. I'm working with a hedge fund and a few investment firms. I'm trying to get about $10, $50 million. I want to do my own bank, and I want to start doing my own loans on my cars, where I can finance not only people for cheap, affordable cars, but I want to do something. It's called influencer auto sales. Okay. So somebody like yourself,
right?
I know how you make money. I understand the YouTube model, and also like professional athletes, you can imagine for this, you sign a contract, you get $10 million.
Yeah.
You walk into Ferrari, you're like, hey, I want to buy this new Lamborghini. They're going to tell you no. I'll put 100 grand down. No, especially with this credit crunch going on. So I want to offer a way where we can build an algorithm to show banks how we can judge YouTubers and influencers, how they purchase cars and how they make their loans. So eventually I would like to be the bank of influencers and YouTubers like yourself, where if you just call me up, hey, Lucky, I need a lease for my company, I need to buy 2 Escalades for my business, whatever else, done.
You do it.
Yeah. And that's the main goal. That's what I'd like to get to. But as of right now, we're going to start off small, do our own in-house deals with a lot of the cheaper cars, and build up our portfolio. Because pretty much the way auto loans work is once I get about $5 million under management, I'll be able to leverage that to borrow $20 million from like Wells Fargo, Bank of America. You just got to have a track record. Right. So I always make the joke, the first mil is the hardest. The 5 mil is easier. And then after you prove in 5 mil, they'll pretty much give you the world.
Yeah. I will say that as far as business goes, it definitely starts getting easier. To make your first 100,000 is really hard. It took me 7 years before I finally made over 100,000. Then it took me 3 years to get to $1 million, which is also really hard. And then, to get over 10 million, didn't take much longer. So it's just like to get to 100 million, we'll see. Yeah. But I agree with you. So I guess for somebody who's trying to flip cars, not at the level of being a dealer and everything else, but they're going to go try and find a couple of deals on Craigslist and everything. I mean, my opinion, even with real estate, is you can get a deal no matter what's going on in the market, right? So 100%. It's like, should they even be worrying about this?
Not really. I mean,
it matters on the dealer level, obviously.
Yeah, with massive carrying costs and everything else, you have other factors in. But just like you said, if you're smart enough and you look hard enough, there's deals in any economy. I don't care if we're booming, we're bad. If you're complaining now, actually, I think you said something that was very similar. If you're complaining now that there's too much competition and now there's not enough, you're the wrong person. Yeah. Same thing in the car business. I absolutely hate it. When we're selling a lot and we're all making money, oh my God, I can't buy cars.
There's too much competition. Everybody's trying to buy them.
Yeah. And now, oh my God, I can't sell any of my cars. There's not enough people buying them. I'm like, what do you want? This is the way the market is. The real performers adapt. I would say if you're thinking about getting in the automotive industry, now is actually the best time. I started, same thing, in 2008 when I started selling more of my cars. The whole reason I opened up my dealership is because all of my friends were in real estate and construction and they lost all their money.
Mm.
So they had no cars. That's the first time I learned the term cross collateralization. They lost their cars, their house, their credit cards, even some lost their wives. So it's like everything
that's real cross
yeah, exactly.
collateralization.
So they lost everything. And so my auto repair shop became almost a dealership because I had customers leaving cars that wouldn't pay it. And then I had turned around and my friends, hey man, I lost my brand new Mercedes. I need a car. Okay, I got this 2005 Honda Accord. Here you go.
Mm.
And that's kind of how it started. But I would say if you start now during a downed economy, you can learn the struggle now. Ryan will tell you this. You always want to struggle your first year or two because it builds character and it sets you up for success. A lot of dealerships that opened up during the pandemic got it easy because the money was just flowing out there.
Mm-hmm.
Once those stimulus checks came out, people didn't have to struggle. They just opened up their doors and people were just spending money. They weren't working. They had to spend their money somewhere. And so if they start now, they're going to basically get in on the way down and you're not catching a falling knife. Don't think of that term. You're not investing in cars or selling them. So we want to get in when the market's going down. If you're in your area, find a few cars cheap on Craigslist, Facebook, OfferUp. That's where I buy 90% of my cars. Everybody thinks I buy from auctions and you got to get a dealer's license. Absolute BS. You get better deals from regular people.
Right. That's what I saw, when we went to the car auction. I was like, man, these guys are paying a lot of money for these. But it's the same thing as true in real estate, right? People are like, Ryan, do you guys ever buy from the courthouse steps and stuff? And I'm like, no, like never. Yeah. I buy all of my houses from people directly. I buy them from, on the market, like, the MLS, like from wholesalers.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways to buy deals, but from the auction is not where I buy.
Yeah. But see, that's the funny thing. Like I tell people, if they're lazy, that's where they buy. So when everyone's like, well, I can't find the deals. I'm like, you're just not working. You're not looking. Lazy. Or like how much, like just for fun, you don't have to tell me the exact number, but I'm sure you spend money looking for deals, right?
A lot of money.
Yeah, I do too. I run Facebook ads. We buy cars for cash. If you see them in Vegas, that's me. And
you've seen my commercial in Vegas all the time.
Yeah, I hit you up on Instagram every time I drive by and I see your face on the back of an Escalade. I'm like, is that Ryan?
Real quick, if you haven't heard, my book, The Wealthy Way, is coming out December 13th. I have been working on this book for years, and I'm super excited about it, and I want to have a massive launch, and I need your help. So here's what we are going to do. You can actually pre-order the book on Amazon right now on the Kindle version. And the best part is that Kindle version is only going to be 99 cents. Now, this book is a lot more valuable than 99 cents, but I want to get it in everyone's hands. So you can support by ordering it there right now. Now, on December 13th, you can get access to the paperback, you can get access to the Audible and all that good stuff. But that's not all we're doing. If you want to really support and leave a review for the book, I'm actually going to be giving away a free course that I created called Business Builder Academy. This is teaching everyone how to start a business from start to scratch, how to figure out your branding, your products, sales, marketing, everything that I've done to start up all of my businesses. I've put into this academy, and I'm gonna give it to you completely free as long as you leave a review on Amazon. So think about it. You can go buy the book for $1, leave a review, and get a course worth thousands. So if you want to support and you want to get access to that, go to wealthywaybook.com, okay? wealthywaybook.com. You'll be able to go pre-order it. You'll be able to submit proof of your review, and you're gonna get access to that course. So I appreciate all you guys. Let's have a huge launch for this book and change some lives.
Yeah. But yeah, that's something that like I tell these dealers and they don't want to spend $1. They're like, well, I just want to go to the auction, get a good cheap car. And it's like, no, you got to grind. You got to find those deals. They're not hard, but it's work ethic. And it's also building a network. I'm sure you probably preach the same thing. At the end of the day, you're only as good as your network. Mm-hmm. If you take care of your people, you have people out there looking for your deals. Like I have people just like you that call me up. Hey, Lucky, this plumbing company's going out of business. They got 13 trucks. You want to come buy them? On my way. And that's literally what I do. And so we talk about it on my channel all the time. And so if you can get into the industry now, I would definitely do. The only thing I would tell people, if you're thinking about doing rental cars, stay out of it. Don't do nothing until at least 6 months from now. Even with Turo, just get out of it.
So what's the problem with Turo? Let's talk about that.
Oof, geez. Well, first off, Turo is a great platform.
Okay. When we first talked, you're the big Turo guy. You're like, dude, Turo kills it. And then, on my series, I'm like, yeah, it's cool, but definitely not as much as I was hoping to get per car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were talking about it during the hype when it was at its peak. So I always preach, like, don't put all your eggs in one basket. A lot of people, unfortunately, put all their money and all their cars on Turo. And what's currently happening right now is Turo is slowing down. That easy money, that free money is gone. So I'm watching rentals drop by 30-40% in some major areas. People can't, they're just not traveling. So people became so accustomed to putting like a Kia Optima up there and getting $100, $150 a day. That car today is bringing $30, $40.
As it should.
Yeah, exactly. And we're talking pre-owned, not even new.
Yeah.
I just got back from Miami. I rented a brand new Cadillac for $28 a day. I don't know how Turo's competing with it.
I just booked the Turo because I'm gonna be in Miami. I got a almost new Tahoe for like $100 a day.
Yeah. And you got people on Turo. I want $250 for my brand new Tahoe. I paid $90,000 for it. Well, that's your problem, buddy.
Yeah.
And so now what's happening is we call it the rush to the bottom or the race to the bottom is everybody's desperate. So the only way they can rent their cars is by lowering the price.
Right.
Because
there's nothing unique about your car.
Yeah. Turo is an algorithm just like YouTube. If you're not renting your car out, they're not going to push you. If your car is priced too high, they're not going to push you.
Mm-hmm.
And so now everybody's lowering their prices to get rentals to basically make money. And then you have on the platform, you have like a 50-50 spread. You have 50% of the people that want to make money, but then you have 50% of the people that literally are just doing this just to make their car note. They don't care about profiting. They just need to make their car note so they don't get their car repoed.
Mm-hmm.
So you as a business owner say, well, man, I need to make $150 off my Tahoe to be profitable. Where this person's like, man, I just need $50 a day just to get it rented just so I can
pay the note.
Yeah, pay my car note. And so now it's like the market is completely drying up. And then on top of that, their fees are going up. I think in some states it's upwards of like they take 45% depending on what insurance policy you take.
Mm-hmm.
So they're taking half your money. They're kicking people off the platform now because it's saturated.
Why would they kick you off?
So there could be a number of reasons. If you get too many complaints, if you're too stagnant, I've seen people be kicked off for random reasons. Like they ran a VIN number and saw that maybe you didn't have insurance, your car wasn't registered correctly or wasn't in your name. So Turo, now that the market is saturated, they're starting to kick off people. So this way they can take care of the power host, the host with a lot of cars. They want to take care of them.
Yeah,
Before,
they should.
Yeah, well, when we first met or when we did our video, it was the other way around. They didn't care about the people that had 30 cars. They wanted the new guy. They wanted to take the market share.
Right.
So if you put your car on Turo, if you're a new guy, you'd be pushed to the top. Now it's the other way around. Now, if you're a new guy, you're screwed. There's no way they're going to push you. They're going to push a host like yourself that's verified, that's taking care of customers because they want people to have a good experience when it comes to Turo.
It's the same thing YouTube does.
Yeah. And so now it's like people are complaining like, well, I bought 37 Teslas and I can't rent them. What do I do, Lucky? I'm like, you're going to have to sell them. Lower your prices. Oh, I can't. I'm into them too much. I bought them at the peak of the market. And so I have students, like I have one guy in LA, I won't mention his name, but he's got 62 Teslas parked all over downtown LA. So he's paying weekly and daily parking lot fees for these cars. And he's renting.
Lucky, this guy's your student? What's he doing?
Well, he only became my student after he saw that
after he already did it.
Yeah, because he listened to another guy that told him to go buy 30 cars at one time.
How do you even get enough capital to buy 30 cars, man? He must have been
so there's these guys out there that during the pandemic, they were preaching, go to like 10 different dealerships and apply for like as many cars as you can get. And, if you had good credit and you run them all in one day, you could push them all through. And that's he worked all the deals, he showed his credit report. And he's like, I want 10 Teslas here, 10 Teslas here, 10 Teslas here. And then he got his wife to do the same thing. So I think they both have like 30 Teslas. And then it was ridiculous. So he bought new, used from leasing companies. The one Tesla dealership in California had him sent out to, I think it was like 13 different banks. So like, he's like, oh, they're buying one for him and his wife. And they just doubled up on each loan. It was crazy. So they were teaching this. They were teaching people basically how to make yourself financially strapped and you could never expand. Where I like to teach people, like, get a business license, get your corporate line of credit, go buy it with your flooring line.
Also, I don't know that it's fraud, but you're teaching.
Oh yeah,
you're teaching some form of gray area fraud.
Yeah, and it's funny because like I still to this day, like I was just in Miami yesterday. I met two people down there. Same thing, power hosts, all of them. Oh, I got 30 cars in my personal name. I'm like, do you want to buy a house? Yeah. I was like, can you? No. I was like, yeah, you're DTI, you're ruined for life. And the worst thing is they weren't taught to pay like depreciation because Turo makes you enough money to stay on the platform. It doesn't make you enough money to actually really make money to get off the platform and start your rental car company.
Right.
They don't want to do that. They want to just keep you just enough. So they don't pay down depreciation. They never pay down their cars. So now these people are upside down in their cars. They can't refinance them because they're upside down. So they can't put them in their company name. They're just basically screwed. They have to write it out for the next 3 years on Turo, hoping they can make enough money to pay off the car.
Yeah, I mean, it's similar to kind of what my buddy Houston's been saying. Our friend here, who's been on the show and who owns Houston's Hot Chicken. Like he's got his own luxury rental car business.
Yeah, it's everybody sees it and thinks it's glamorous. It's not. Like me and Houston did a podcast the other day, and we just bashed on exotic rentals and rental cars. Like I've had drunk people just lose my cars in the middle of the desert. I had to go find them. They're crashing them all the time. You have to fight with people's insurance. It's not fun. And the money you make, like when people ask me what's the most money you made, I was like, when they crashed my car, because they total them out. I get loss of usage, which is they pay us for every day it's out of operation. That's the only way we made money. Houston, same thing. He buys a Lambo at MSRP. They crash it. Now it's $100,000 over MSRP. I make $100,000 on that car. So what he would have rented out for a year and made that profitability, he just crashed it. He made it in one day. And now he can get that money from the insurance company. So
just hoping for crashes.
Yeah. So that's why, like when people asked me when I sold my dealership in the rental car business, I didn't want to do it. Even the company I sold my business to, when I was like, do you want to rent the cars? I had commercial cars, vans and stuff. They're like, nah, we don't want to deal with the headache. Because it's a pain in the butt, but it's a necessary evil if you have something like I'm sure you're in real estate and you flip houses. I'm sure you have maybe vendors, or do you have your own construction company?
No.
Not yet.
I don't want one. No. I
Oh,
don't want
okay.
that.
Oh, yeah. I forgot. Yeah, you're smart. You don't want the headaches, but like a lot of us, we try to build a monopoly so somehow we can circle the money between ourselves. Whether you bring a car in for me to buy, sell, fix, repair, I give you a free rental car, I get your business. That's the whole reason I got it, was just to complement my business.
Right.
A lot of these people trying to do like, I'm going to start my exotic car business with like 6-7 Lambos, and then they find out they can't get insurance. That's my favorite. That's probably the number one thing that we get when. I remember when me and Houston did our podcast, and I'll tell some of your people now, if you're thinking about doing exotic car rentals, don't. One, you cannot get insurance. I've only gotten insurance for one student, and he had to put up almost $1 million in a bond to hold against his insurance policy, because no insurance company will insure you. Because all these guys, what they do is they rent the cars out. They don't pay down the cars. And when it comes time to trade them in, they're $100,000, $200,000 upside down in these exotic cars. What do? They commit insurance fraud. They crash them. They burn them. They steal them. And so our insurance costs are incredibly high. The only reason somebody like Houston or myself were able to do it is because I had my same insurance company since 2002. So I'm grandfathered in. So even if I start today, as long as I use my old company, I'll be able to start doing classic cars and exotic cars. I won't have any issues. But the other thing is the capital. God, I think Houston's policy, you have to own your cars.
Yeah.
To actually rent them out. And I know none of these guys, they don't even have them in their company's names. They're like, they got a buddy they took their lease from. Hey, you can't afford your Lambo anymore. Give it to me.
Yeah.
I'll give your car payment $500 extra, and I'll rent it out to everybody else. And that's literally every exotic car rental car company across here in the United States. I've literally only know about 4 people that'll legitimately own a company that does it the correct way. I think it's Houston, Rob, and 2 other guys.
Yeah. So I wonder, I'm still waiting on my Rivian. So I've been waiting for years. And ironically, the crappy part is outside my office, I've seen it 3 times now. Rivian stays at the hotel next door to us, like whenever they're testing it. And so I've just walked out and I've seen the truck and the SUV, and I'm like, so when are these things coming out? Right? Like, the trucks, they've delivered trucks, but the SUVs are like, maybe they've started now. But, my thing was supposed to be, I mean, I've had it pre-ordered since 2019, I think.
Really? Yeah, because I've heard stories of people like ordering recently and getting them, and people that have ordered them like you did back then haven't got them yet.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I know the SUV is just not ready yet, right?
Yeah.
So.
Oh, did you order the truck or the SUV?
SUV.
Okay.
Yep. But I got an update. Originally, I got an update a few months ago. It said, hey, you're looking like, October to December, you're going to be good. And then I got an update. It's like, you're looking like, I don't even remember, March, April or something.
March, April next year.
I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm over. I was like, man, hoping I could buy it for depreciation this year, but it is what it is.
I'll tell you what, no matter how bad that is, that's still not as bad as the Tesla Cybertruck.
I have that pre-order too.
Yeah, I think everybody and their grandma put $100 down, and we're still waiting for this mythical unicorn to appear. You know, I keep seeing them at car shows and stuff and conventions, but I still like, I'm like, I want to see the first one on the streets.
Yeah.
Like Rivian was like, hey, we're going to make a truck. And then like the next year there was trucks on the road.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea if Tesla is so great and so huge. Like, I don't know for your viewership, like I don't like Tesla. And so it's like, if they're so great and they're so huge, why wouldn't they have that car out right away? I mean, if they have people like you, me, massive people that are ready to buy this car and drive it, like look at Hummer. Hummer's like, oh man, look at all the people going nuts over the Cybertruck. We're going to put 1 year into R&D and just pop this thing out and make an electric SUV and charge $100K for it. And now they're sold out for the next 2 years.
The Hummer's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, did you see Houston's video? How they crashed their new one already?
No.
9 miles. Bought a brand new electric Hummer. I wanted to go down there and check it out. And then, they jumped it. And I guess it didn't do very well off road.
Who jumped it? Houston?
I think it was Edmund. And so I think he jumped it, but it was one of them too. But yeah, it's on Houston's channel. But I was just like, he's like, oh, how many miles did you get on? He's like 9 miles. And I was just like, Jesus. And so the
Hummer's tight. I just can't, last time I checked, it was still like 200,000 for a $100,000 car.
So I've seen 5 of them at the auction.
How much?
They're going about 150K now. So I saw these knuckleheads because I remember seeing the same white one. It went from like one franchise dealer here in Vegas to another. One guy paid like 187, brought it back because I knew they couldn't sell it. Another dealership bought it for 192, which is, I don't know if you care if I shout out dealership's name, but I think it's I think it's like Finley Honda and Centennial. I think they bought it for 193, something like that. And now I see it online at Car Gurus for 183.
183.
So they're going to take a $10,000 hit.
I thought you were saying though that they're selling for 150.
Oh, at the auction they are.
Oh, okay.
So I can go to the auction and buy one, but the regular consumers, 180 is a good deal. But
that's what I'm saying. I'm like, dude, I would love to get the Hummer. Ain't no way I'm paying that.
No, I'm waiting because like I remember 3 months having a discussion with my buddy about a G-Wagon. He's going to do a bonus depreciation. He's like, I'm not paying 100K over MSRP. I was like, don't worry, bro. It's going to drop. Literally, the last 2 months, I've seen dealers going as low as 20 grand over MSRP. I was like, be patient. It's going to go away. Just like C8s. I remember C8s you couldn't touch for under $30,000, $40,000 over MSRP. All those things are dropping.
Yeah. You know, I don't know. I look at the G-Wagons and I'm like, yeah, it's cool. I don't get the fascination with it. The Hummer though is tight.
Yeah, that thing, I was able to get in one at a car show and we did the crab mode and all that stuff. It is such a nice truck. I think that's why I'm not a Tesla fan. And that's why I'm glad you bought the Taycan is because when you see the build quality of all these major manufacturers compared to Tesla, it's like night and day. Like,
well, yeah. So that's what happened to me. So, I've had the Porsche for over a year now and, I came from the Tesla Model X and the tech in the Porsche is not as good. Like I've had a lot of issues with the tech and thankfully after a couple of recalls, a lot of it's been fixed, but still not the greatest. And so I'm kind of getting this grass is greener on the other side type deal. And I dropped the Porsche offer. It's last recall. I'm like, well, I don't have it for the next 2 weeks. So let me go rent the Tesla. And at that point, I'm like, you know what? It's probably time. I'm just going to go back to Tesla, get the Plaid and enjoy it. And so I rent the Plaid for a week. And I'm like, dude, this thing sucks compared to the Porsche. The interior is not even close. The way it handles is not even close.
That's where I tell people,
Yeah, nothing about it is close. Is it faster in a straight line? Yeah. But, it's tech, definitely better. It does have the tech. But I was like, yeah. And I had put a pre-order in. Not a pre-order. I actually bought one used. I put a deposit, lost the deposit because I was like, I'm good. Just keep it.
Yeah.
But then as I'm waiting for it, I'm like, you know what, though? Let me just see what the Model 3 is about. Like maybe because I've heard the Model 3 is a little more nimble. It's funner to drive. Doesn't got the weird steering wheel.
Yeah.
I was like, let me just try that. So I rent the Model 3 the next week. And I'm like, yep, this is lame. This is not the Porsche. It's just not even close.
Yeah.
And that was when I realized what I had.
I've been telling that over and over. Like Tesla with the self-driving and the tech package, they're about 3 or 4 years ahead of a lot of the other manufacturers. Probably 5 years with the self-driving.
People have told me it will now drive you from like your house to your work, like all the way.
Yeah. So
that's cool.
Yeah, they have that. That's the one claim to fame. But when it comes to building cars, build quality, and then also just the far like overall features, like I can't remember the new Kia. It just slipped my mind. The Kia, I think it's an Ion. It's the electric model.
Yeah, I've seen it.
It's
Yeah.
a new one. It is the coolest freaking car. I think it's got 75 miles more range, and it's half the cost of a Tesla.
I think it
3.
might be called like a Neo or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they got some of these damn models now. I can't keep up with them, but it's like, but I remember seeing that one and I drove it and it was such a cool car. And I'm like, oh, what is this? Like 50, 40? Oh, starting at like 31. I'm like, 31,000? I was like, that's not bad, And so I have a feeling that the market is going to be closing down on Tesla a lot because,
well, and Tesla's not cheap anymore. The Model 3 is 60 grand. It's not,
yeah,
it used to be marketed as, yeah, you can get one for, I think it was back in the day, they were saying 30 grand or something.
yeah. Yeah, I see these people like, oh, well, I'm going to justify the price by not buying gas. And I'm like, what are you talking about? That's $60,000 and you're financing. You're still better off buying a used Corolla and buying gas for everybody in your whole family than buying this car. And so I'm getting so sick of this argument about everyone says I'm just a car guy. That's why, but it's like
I almost traded because BMW got their new one. It was an i4, and I was like, oh, it looks good. It's it wasn't even about the money for me. I was just like, I just am kind of over having a $200,000 car. It's not that important to me.
yeah.
And I was like, I'll go try driving this i4. It's like a 60, 70,000. It's to compete with the Model 3.
Yeah.
And I drive it, and granted, it's nice, but I'm just like, yeah, I see why I see the difference between 200,000 and 70,000. Like I can see it very clearly.
This one's probably along the same price. It's the similar platform, but if you look at the Audi e-tron,
yeah, those are nice. I drove those too.
I saw one here at the local dealership. Beautiful.
Yeah,
absolutely beautiful. It almost got me tempted to go buy.
But I was like, I already have an Audi essentially. Like,
yeah,
it's already the headache.
The same platform.
Porsche is the same.
But the build quality, man, people don't understand. Like, if you literally take your time and be objective, go rent a Tesla and like slam the door, hit some bumps, and then go in like your car,
yeah,
a Taycan or any of these other luxury
e-tron,
and it'll be night and day.
Yeah, no, the build quality is far superior on the German. What I have seen lately that's really cool is like I would buy a Hummer today if I get one for MSRP. Like that would happen. But what I put some orders on, and who knows when they'll come, whatever. But I put an order on the EV Silverado and the EV Denali. They look cool. Have you seen those?
Oh no, those beautiful cars. I mean, I was trying to get one for the Ford Lightning, the exact same thing.
Yep.
I think you can't go wrong because one, you'll be the first to market. If you got a contact, let me know, because I called one of my buddies and they sold out like within the first.
The Lightnings
week.
are going way over too.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to get them at MSRP. I refused to pay. I can't do it. I mean, I'm watching these knuckleheads do that, especially the way the market's turning. Because I ordered a Porsche Taycan, or excuse me, not a Porsche Taycan, a Lamborghini Technica, and I got it at MSRP. And I'm waiting because my build date was supposed to be 18 months to a year or 2 years.
Uh-huh.
I have a feeling as people start dropping out, your name's probably going to go further up the list. So if they told you maybe a year or 2 years, as the market's slowing down, I think more people are going to be dropping out, and you'll probably be able to get your car sooner than what you anticipate. Because we've seen that a lot where people are actually buying these exotic cars or even cars like yours. My friend works at Chevy here at a local dealership. He had 4 people that ordered the anniversary edition Corvette. Once they came in, they sold them to the dealer because they couldn't afford them anymore.
Wow.
They could afford them.
Yeah. Hopefully somebody can't afford their Hummer who's on the wait list, and I can move it up. That'd be great.
Make sure they hit Ryan up on his Instagram.
Yeah. If any of you guys got the Hummer, you can get me at a MSRP. I'm not going to flip it, even though it would be a great flip.
Yeah.
I just want it.
Yeah, no, I totally 100%. If I had the first electric vehicle, my I guess that I would own, I would like it to be a Hummer or something crazy like one of those EV trucks. But I think you're doing a good thing with buying those cars at MSRP. That's literally like, do you ever see that guy, the exotic car hack guy?
No.
Oh, okay. He has this thing where like, oh, how you drive these cars for free? Basically, just you're doing it right there. I have friends that put in allocations every year for every model, buy them, drive them for a month, sell them to somebody else.
Because they get the tax credit. Is that why?
No, because they
and they're always going over MSRP if they're a brand new car. And
correct.
Yeah.
So after like 2 years, you can basically own a Lamborghini and Ferrari for free. So there you go. So you guys don't have to buy his course. You just learn to hear free on Ryan's podcast.
Just put orders on every
car. I have friends literally that do this for a living. They literally just put on allocations for cars.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes a while to get on the list, unless you know somebody. but that's how you do it.
Yeah, my buddy does that, especially with Ferraris. He's like, yeah, like it's guaranteed to make money.
Oh my God. Like I have a friend, same thing. Like his whole job, he's retired.
Yeah.
He just buys every Ferrari he can.
Yep.
So he has multiple relationships with multiple dealerships all across the United States. And I don't know if you guys know this, but like even if you're rich and you're famous, you cannot walk into a dealership and buy a Ferrari. You have to buy the base model, whatever the Ferrari California, the cheapest model, and you even have to get on a list for that. Once you buy that, then they'll allow you to buy maybe another model.
Yeah, it's the same thing as the watch market.
Yeah.
Very
similar.
I can't go buy this AP.
Yeah.
They're just not there.
No, I have an order in for new Pepsi. I think it'll be 2024 by the time I get mine. I think it was like the guy told me it's like a 2-year waiting list.
Yeah, I did a YouTube video with my guy, Gabe out in Fullerton from Happy Jewelers, and we were talking about the watch market. And I mean, look, it's the same as every market, right? Like the stocks crushed, the crypto crushed. You're now seeing it with cars. You're seeing it.
Well, I saw it big with watches, man. The
watches dropped a ton. And it's funny because people will go to me and they're like, Ryan, real estate's ready to crash and it's been, dipping a little bit. And I'm like, guys, do you realize what every other asset class has done to this point? Like they have dipped, to Carvana's point, 90%.
Exactly.
Crypto and many of these crappy coins have dipped 90%. Even Bitcoin at the peak has dipped, 60, 70%. Amazon or Netflix, if you bought like the premier stock, it has dipped.
Yeah.
Meta, right? Like they've dipped so much. Real estate has gone down 5-10%. Depends what market you're. I'm like, you tell me what you should have bought in the last year.
Yeah. Well, everybody knows this. Like they're going to let go of everything else before they let go of their home or their real estate.
Well, and they're tied into such low interest rate loans that, man, take everything but my low interest rate loan. It's so affordable, the house I'm in.
Yeah, I have friends that refuse to leave. They don't even like their house, but they refuse to leave because they got like a 2.9 or 3.2% interest rate locked in.
Which has been my point for the last 2 years. I'm like, guys,
yeah,
they ain't selling their homes.
Yeah, and then on top of that, there's people like yourself. Like there's so many of these large companies that are buying up houses in bulk. So it's like when my friend's like, well, the market's going to dip. I was like, as soon as it dips, one of these companies like BlackRock, yeah, they're going to buy it.
Yeah.
They're not a fool. It's going to go down a little bit, but it's not like everybody thinks it's going to crash. I don't think so.
No, I don't.
My market's going to crash. Your market's going to stay fine. Mine's going down in flames as we speak right now, which is rough.
I got to go check at my dealership right now. There might be a couple cars on fire.
But when we started this podcast, I think I lost 5% of the value of my whole freaking car group over there. But it's insane. But no, I think real estate's always a safe bet. I mean, people always need a place to live. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Believe it or not, cars touch everybody, and everybody has a car. More people have cars than they have homes.
Oh, I believe that. I mean, obviously.
but the hard thing that kind of screwed us up is we've never had a point in history where cars appreciated. Like classic cars,
it's
rare
so
cars.
Weird.
Yeah, like not a 2005 Toyota Corolla. It doesn't go from $3,000 to $7,000.
The pickup trucks going.
Oh my
Dude, the
God.
pickup trucks were crazy.
I feel so bad for my friends. Man, I just need a cheap A to B car, $7,000. No. Like a $2,000 car is like, bro, those don't exist anymore.
Well, no, like I remember, couch flipping. These guys are trying to buy trucks and stuff, and they're going and buying. Yeah, they're buying a Tundra, a 2008 Tundra for $20,000. I'm like, what? What is going on here?
Oh my God, yeah, like that was something that scared us in the car business. Is like, so franchise stores, big independent or big dealerships, never ever keep older like cars, like something like that Tundra.
Yeah.
They would sell them to a used car dealer like me.
Yep.
But during the shortage, man, every franchise dealer stopped selling their cars, their trade-ins. They were selling cars 200, 300,000 miles, beat the hell. And they were getting all the money because as an independent dealer, I could only finance a certain amount, where like franchise stores, man, they could finance the world. So they were selling these 200,000 mile, Tundras with like a 6-year warranty and putting a lift kit on them for like $20,000, and they were getting it.
There, I know. I'm like, wait, how much did you pay for that truck? What the heck is going on here?
I had friends of mine like, man, I saw a used Silverado at Fenway Chevy. It was like a 2003. I went up there, it had 300,000 miles. They wanted $12,800 for it. And I was like, for a 300,000 mile truck that's a 2003? He's like, yeah. He goes, it was clean, but
it was clean.
He's like, but they would not budge. They said they wanted $12,000, and that was the cash price. If I wanted to finance, it'd be more. I was like, that's the market we live in. But like that was the first time ever in history that a regular car was actually worth more. So I don't mind. Like people are like, are you upset that the market's crashing? It needs to. Just like, oh wait, it's stupidity. Stupidity drove the market. Everyone's when they're like, oh, I blame the banks, I blame the government. We're a we're a consumer based pricing index. Like the more the customers buy it and the more they're willing to pay, that's what the dealers are going to sell it for. So at the end of the day, if these idiots stop buying overpriced cars, which finally they are now, the prices are going down. Like do you ever watch like Bring a Trailer and Cars and Bids, all those crazy cars or fun cars that used to go? So did you ever see my smart car?
Mm-mm.
So I had this crazy lifted smart car I got from a TV show. I think I bought it for like $7,000 and it was insane looking. And I sold it at the peak because I knew people were just going nuts. I thought I'd get maybe maybe $12,000, 25 grand.
What?
Yeah.
What's a smart car new?
Well, when they still made them, I think they were like $15,000-$16,000.
Oh, they don't make smart cars anymore.
Yeah, they stopped a few years ago. But I think this one, when it was brand new, was like $89.99. I mean, it was just those little older models, like a 2012. And I was shocked, but like all these cars are going for way overpriced. And then, man, once that market cooled, first it was regular cars, like just cars that we can drive. Then the classic and exotic car market got hit, and it got hit hard, just like the watch market. I remember seeing, like, I've been trying to buy a DeLorean, couldn't find a beat up DeLorean for under like 60 grand. Now I'm seeing them for 30, high 20s. So I'm gonna get one so I can do a fun build here in Vegas. But man, it's amazing how fast it's turned. When I was talking about this on my channel, people were like, it's going to be a year. It's going to be at least 2 years, 3 years. I'm like, no, it's going to be like the third quarter of like 2022, I'm guessing. And
what it sounds like to me though is, I mean, obviously the used ones that have been overpriced are finally coming back to realization, but it sounds like from what I see, there's still a massive supply chain issue on the new ones.
Yeah, the supply chain is, they're using that BS to just kind of hype people up.
Like, is the chips still an issue?
No, like you can call today, like we can call, hey, I got a 2022 Porsche Taycan. My computer went out. I need a new one. Runs on the same chips that they're running short on. Guarantee we can get one in like 2-3 days. The chip shortage is BS. Every major manufacturer already put out there, and you could read this online if you want to Google it, that they're going to be making less vehicles in 2023.
Because they know there's going to be less demand.
No, there's gonna they can keep prices high. Like,
well, I know that they can keep prices higher, but there's going to be less demand.
Yeah, so it's like they already know. It's like, why are we going to make more vehicles and make less?
It's like the watchmakers. It's the same deal.
Yeah, it's like we're going to keep inventory low. We're going to force you knuckleheads to fight and overpay for MSRP. Dealers have made more money in the last 3 years than in the last 10 years. It was ridiculous. Like I sold my dealership at a good time and a bad time.
They're just making more per car now.
Yeah, and so usually before the way it worked with a franchise store, if let's say you owned a Ford dealership, you had to sell X amount of Ford F-150s to be profitable. So a lot of times you would sell an F-150 at a loss just so you can hit your bonus.
Yep.
That's what we cared about.
That's how we grew up.
Yeah.
With buying cars. Yep.
Yeah. And so that was our thing, is like, we want to sell them and get rid of them and make the money. Now these guys, well, we're going to keep them, charge $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 over MSRP, and we're going to get them, and people have no choice but to pay it.
So there's no supply.
And so now all these manufacturers, everybody from Honda, Toyota, Chevy, Mercedes, all of them are making less cars next year than they did this year.
Because they want to continue to do that.
Yeah, they're saying that they're letting supply chains catch up, but it's really just a front for what's going to happen. Is they're making less cars. Somebody like either Volkswagen or Kia or Hyundai is going to jump in and try to steal market share. When all of a sudden,
it's going to force everyone to produce again.
And then we'll go right back to where we're at again.
Yeah,
So
it's just, that's what happens with, if you're not a monopoly.
Yeah,
and you can't like fix prices.
Yeah, and so they're trying to do this clever thing on how we can do that. And so our industry, man, is crazily changing. This stuff with Carvana. I don't know if you saw, like, Ford is being sued because Ford wants to be able to sell like EV vehicles directly to consumers like Tesla.
Right.
So now they're making a separate EV dealer's license so you can sell EV Fords. And Ford dealers that paid, like, people don't know this, franchise stores, it costs a lot of money to start, and then you got to pay royalties, monthly fees, all that stuff. So now imagine having a Burger King and they want to charge you extra money because they have a new chicken sandwich coming out. So now you got to buy the chicken sandwich license to sell the exact same Burger King sandwich that you already have. That's exactly what Ford's doing. So now there's major lawsuits in the works because
the dealers are suing Ford.
Yeah, because if Ford gets away with this, it's going to pretty much put a lot of dealerships out of business, because Everybody's going to do that. We're like, why are we going to do that? We're just going to go direct to the consumer. And I know people hate dealerships and they think we're bad and they hate us and everything else. But you got to remember, dealerships in every town, even small towns, hire a lot of people. And then on top of that, this is another reason why I hate Tesla: service. People don't realize that when you have problems with your vehicles, a dealership is critical when it comes to servicing your cars, buying parts. You know, if you go to the dealership and you're like, hey, I got a 2022 Tesla, my window regulator went out, I need a new one. One, you can't talk to anybody. They're going to make you call in. You're going to have to fill out an online report. And if you do happen to talk to somebody at the dealership, it's not a traditional parts department. You go to any dealership in the United States, hey, I need parts for my car. No problem, sir. Here you go.
Mm-hmm.
Tesla's not like that. They don't have the same type of support. So when it comes to EV vehicles, if they take dealers out of the equation and they're able to sell direct to consumers, it's going to cause a massive, just headaches everywhere.
Right. No, I'm with you, dude. Well, bro, it's been super insightful hearing what's going on in the market. To your point, put in as many pre-orders as you can, because those seem like a safe bet in all ways, which is what I've done. And, you know, if there's a car you really like, just kind of be patient and wait for it to come down. Don't FOMO in. That seems to be the key.
Yeah, and market's going to be changed in the next 3 to 6 months. Just be patient.
Yep. Cool. All right. Well, guys, make sure you subscribe, go follow Lucky, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace. Thanks for watching all the way through on this podcast. It means a lot to me. I've also done another interview that I think is going to be super helpful for you. So make sure you watch this one now, coming up next.